In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Incoming!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Omnic Lab. We're a podcast that helps you focus on the game of Overwatch, but specifically the strategies inside of it. Today, we're going to be learning about some specific strategies with regards to the new map, Oasis, now that it is live in competitive. And we brought in our friend of the show and expert opinion, Mr. Skyline from YouTube. What's up, Sky?
Hey, how are you? Nice to be back.
So we're going to do like a little brief interview with Sky here, and just to kind of get you guys to know his personality. We had him here on the show once before, but he has another recent accomplishment of hitting Grand Masters within the last 2 weeks, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But then we're also going to be talking a little bit more about positioning and like how to really approach Oasis, because it's a little bit confusing for a lot of us, including myself. And then we're also going to be talking about the big PTR changes, which we actually got a slight update from Jeff Goodman of another slight adjustment that they're going to make, but has not hit live yet on the PTR. So I'm your host, Rob May, and joining me on episode number 36 is Andres Gomez. What's up, Andres?
What's up, guys? I'm super excited today. Skyline is a great guy to have over here. He has great analysis of the game. For those of you who are not familiar with him, he is a YouTube and a streamer, and a Twitch streamer. He does great content about strategy over Overwatch. If you guys are wanting to learn this game really in depth, he is a great guy to check out. For those of you who are keen to the strategy of Overwatch, you're probably already familiar with him. And like you said, we already had him on the show. So we're going to have some awesome discussion about the map, some of the stuff that he's been up to, and some of the PTR changes. Why don't we start a little bit with what you've been up to, Skyline?
Oh, what have I been up to? Just the YouTube channel has gotten a lot larger, so I'm really trying to focus on making my videos really good and upgrading them, and try to get better every day. And also, my Twitch stream is relatively new. I just started doing that about a week ago, so doing that, learning the whole Twitch format, all that good stuff.
I'm with you there, dude. I'm still learning
the dream.
all of the broadcasting stuff. So many kinks. How about you tell us a little bit about your Overwatch stuff? How have you been doing on the ladder? What you've been playing? What you see around the meta? How was your climb to Grandmaster?
It wasn't too bad because, in Season 1, I was a top 500 player. Because Season 1 I wasn't doing any content creation. I just was like that was my goal, but I just was straight up, hitting the ladder, trying to get as ahead of everyone as I possibly could, just trying to get really good. And so in Season 1 I hit very high. I think I hit top 200 in the ladder, 180 something. Season 2 is when I started my YouTube channel, and that is. I just completely did that the entire time because I was, learning process. I was putting out videos every day. And so I didn't play seriously at all. I think I still ended pretty close. I ended like a couple, like 100 points away from top 500, but I was really not playing seriously at all. This season, I decided that I kind of wanted to, I wanted to see if everyone had just gotten better and surpassed me. And I was doing the stream too, where I was able to play. So before that, I didn't really have time because making content was different than playing, and I always had to do them separately and make time for each. But with the Twitch stream, it was cool because I could play and like be there for my viewers
the content at the same time. Yeah.
So I was originally, my goal was just to hit Grandmasters, which I thought was kind of like lower compared to my Season 1 standard. But because I was streaming and I was paying attention to the chat and I hadn't played for a while, I figured that was the goal. I hit that, and then I hit way above that. I got like 200 points above that. I was like, oh, well, I can actually get top 500 again. Why don't we not just do this? And so then I played like really hard for another 3 days or so. I played 5 or 6 hours a day on stream, and surprisingly, I was honestly surprised that I got it again, because like I said, doing the stream for the first time, I wasn't used to it. I was paying attention to the chat and stuff, but I'm really happy that I hit it. At least I proved to myself that I still got it. I'm not like blown out of the stratosphere after not playing for one season.
That's kind of how
I
I feel
still
right
got
now.
it, Johnny.
Yeah, after the holidays, I feel like, oh man, I'm so rusty. I haven't gone back to this game. I feel people have surpassed me just by like a couple of weeks of not playing.
Overall, the meta is pretty normal. Once you hit a certain terminal skill rating, it's just pretty. The players do slowly get better, but every game is pretty similar in the meta. Unless you have a troll or something, it's pretty much triple tank with Anna plus something. People get very upset if you don't do that. I played a lot of Symmetra this season. I'm actually rated number 5. I'm rated top 5 Symmetra on Overbuff right now, because I'm like 40 and 20. I'm like 40 and 20 with her. But that came with a lot of agony in the voice comms. Another Symmetra player. But
yeah, we can imagine the snarky
Symmetra is
comments.
very strong right now.
That's crazy.
Very cool, very cool. How about you, Rob? How's your ladder experience?
Like what part of the experience?
Oh, sorry, I was referring to Rob. I know that he's
Rob.
been doing some
Oh,
climbing.
sorry. I thought you were
should
still
have been
talking to
clear.
him as well. Sorry. My ladder experience. I'm trying to think of like what happened in the last show. So I jumped all the way up to 2438 and got like on the cusp of hitting platinum for the first time. And last night was the biggest gong show experience. I was just like, I got a Genji main that thought that they were all that in every game, and yeah, people just didn't want to coordinate. They were just off on their own a lot and dropped. I went 1-1. I was like, okay, we can kind of do this, and then I lost 4 straight after that. So I was like, yeah, I'm all the way back down to 2277. I have to climb out again.
Ouchie,
But
ouchie.
yeah, that's kind of just my experience.
Yeah, no, it's been similar to mine. After coming back from the holidays, I've been like not quite playing to like the top of my level, and I feel like everyone has been kind of like coming back too. And since I've been playing exclusively with our team, I think we've all been kind of like cooled down a little bit too much, and we gotta get back on it, because we were getting our asses handed to us yesterday.
Yeah,
I think that something that's really important when you're climbing the ladder is, at least this is my philosophy. So I try. For me, I'm actually pretty unlucky when it comes to games. So I have these big streaks of just getting very unlucky teams and stuff. But as long as you fight it and you try to keep that 50-50 during the bad times, and you don't tilt, then during the good times, because they're going to come eventually. They always come, the good times, like that good streak. Then you get all of your MMR. So I find that I'll struggle, I'll go 50-50, 50-50, 50-50, and then eventually one day it'll just break, and I'll get all the good teams in a row. And that's how I climb. Just don't let yourself, just crash like.
Don't let yourself down.
I actually just had that big win streak. I got a good group of like 2 guys, a Lucio main and a McCree guy, and we jumped from 2000 to 24. So it was just like boom, 400 SR in like a week and a half. And then I climbed out of silver twice on my own, basically. So that was a little of an experience of it in and of itself. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of your videos on positioning and Ana, and so that's kind of like our big transition to getting you on the show. Is I'm excited to know some good spots on Oasis, because I got my butt handed to me this week and the first time in comp with it. I just couldn't find a good spot to not get picked on that high ground, and I couldn't figure out how to get my team to coordinate to get to the high ground in order to take it back. So before we get into the show, we always do a little section about our patrons and new patrons that we got this week. So let's jump into it. So we got some consistent patrons at the the diamond level as scientists. You guys are awesome. And we got Mr. Crisp RC Crispy. Chris has been doing some crazy work for us in the admin panel for us as well. You can find him over on Twitter, .com/crispyrcer, or on Twitch. You can find him streaming a lot of our game nights. If we have them on PC, he's guaranteed to be there streaming it. And he is on twitch.tv/rccrispy. We also have Magic on Twitter as our other diamond level patron, called A Bit Like Magic on Twitter. No spaces, no underscores. And we also have 8 brand new patrons this week. That is insane.
Woo!
And not only do we have 8, but we have Mikey N as our first one that we're going to name, because he's a diamond level patron, which means he's given us the highest amount you can give per show, which is insanity. So thanks so much for joining the team. As soon as your payment clears for the month of January, which is basically the beginning of February, we're going to start like contacting you, getting some of your perks ready to go and set up so we can start promoting your stuff as an official sponsor for the show. And joining him is Caleb O, J.A., Christopher R, Cheesy, Shay F, Lincoln Sean S, and Sean T. Thank you guys so much for joining a part of the Scientist Squad. We really appreciate it.
Ooh, that's a lot of names. That's probably more names that you've ever read
That's a
in
lot.
a row.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is insane. Like, our patrons just exploded.
Thanks so much for the continued support, guys. We really appreciate you guys liking the show and letting us know that way. It really helps us keep motivated to keep doing this and keep bringing you even more quality content. Hopefully, we can keep improving the quality of the show and keep bringing awesome guests like today.
All right, so we have the Oasis big discussion about the map. So let's start with Oasis, because we're not sure how much time we're going to dedicate to this, and then we'll dedicate the rest basically to PTR and general improvements with Skyline. Okay, so let's jump into it. So we have the map Oasis is set in the Iraqi desert and is basically a, for lack of a better term, and to be super corny, it is an oasis in the middle of the desert. So if you guys are wondering what this map is split into, this is a capture point, and there are 3 points, and I went with the order that was on the wiki page, so these may not be correct as far as capture point 1, 2, and 3 have the right coordination with the numbers. But we have the garden, we have the city center. City center is the one with the jump pad. And then we have university, which is the gigantic library. All right, so let's start with the garden. So I'm going to pass this to Sky. What do you like about this map? Like, just general broad brush impressions of maybe the whole of the map, just garden. Like, I'll let you kind of spin this the way you want.
Well, I think that out of the 3 maps in Oasis, Garden is definitely the most the weirdest, the strangest.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of players are saying they don't like it, and they have a little bit. Well, let's talk about it. So it's very strange in that it has, the center is not the control point. In fact, I've seen some players get confused. They're like, "What? I thought I was capping the control point," and it's not, because it just looks like a control point.
I was one of them the first time I played the map. I was like, where am I?
The control.
Right now?
So yeah, it's in the center, and the control point is actually like in a little room off to the side, just tucked back. And I played this map several times. I've organized some pugs and some little in-houses on this map specifically so that I could see it being played a little bit more. And at first I thought that I was just missing something with this side room. I was like, there has to be a reason. Blizzard put this here for a reason. Jeff, I know that you put this here for a reason. What was it? But there's no reason. The side area is pretty much wasted space. The side point that's not actually a point is just like a complete noob trap, basically, for newer players or like lower brackets where people just kind of fight randomly. It's completely useless. Pretty much you're always going to be using the right side, because the right side goes directly to the point, or the left side, the side. And then even more popular than that is the stairway, because on the point, another very unique aspect of the map is that it has high ground that actually contests the point on the high ground. And it's quite high. It's like the maximum distance you can possibly be up to also contest the point. So I think that it's way too early to complain, be like, the map's broken, I hate it, but it's definitely very strange.
It's definitely an interesting map. Out of all the layouts, especially for assault maps like that, like most of them are kind of symmetrical, having the point relatively in the middle ground where everything else kind of revolves around it. But you're right, this one is kind of like to the side, and you can contest the point from high ground, which is something you can't do in any other maps, which I think is super interesting. Maybe it was just them being like, hey guys, let's try something really different over here. But like you said, forcing everyone to go to the right kind of makes the other side of the map pretty pretty unimportant. And like you would say, well, maybe you can abuse the long range with a widow or something. But if you are standing on the
Mhm.
other side of the map, there are just way too many obstacles in your way to just make that kind of a viable thing.
Yeah, the
Yeah, when I
just the
was
point is too well defended from that side.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is just like when I first saw the map like revealed, and I was like looking at it or even jumping in the game, I was like, this map seems really small, you know. And then like you start playing, and you're like, man, this map has so many different verticality moments. It has really odd angles almost for you to like shoot around, and then they have like the rooms almost seem small while also being big. You know, the rooms that are like leading into the point that have the giant archways and like the bushes that you can jump on to get out. And then I always felt like it was really difficult for me to locate the health packs. It felt like I was starved for health packs a lot of the time when I'm on the high ground. So you want to comment on maybe the health pack placement or just like the angles in there, Sky?
Well, yeah, the health packs are pretty very low in this game. There's only that one small health pack on the point. And then I guess one use of that side area is there's a big health pack off to the side in that non-point that looks like a point area. But you're right. It is a small map, but I feel like Blizzard just, if I were to make one guess, there's sort of a design philosophy they have where our maps are going to be about this big, but they really wanted to just make this tiny little arena style map, and they realized that they had all this extra space. Like they couldn't just literally make the map that small. That'd be really weird. So that's why they put all this extra space on the side to not make you feel so claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a thing. I do enjoy that you can contest from the high ground. It gives you a lot of possibilities and a lot of like team strategy stuff. And it also makes it kind of hard to attack too, because you can have like that soldier up there with like a mercy or something. And we had that happen a couple of times. We just had like the enemy team had a soldier posted up there with a mercy, and the rest of the team was just um, keeping us from going up there. That was like their entire purpose. Is like you're not going to get our soldier, and he's gonna stay up there with the mercy, and it made it super hard to kind of take that point back. Especially because even if the other team was not standing at the point, the soldier was contesting the point the whole time.
Yeah, that is a concern. That because of the high ground, you can stand on the high ground, and there really is no good way up there. They're just two kind of small choke point stairwells, and so teams are concerned that you can't get up. Like whoever wins the first fight has too much of an advantage. And I think it's too early to say that. Yes, right now teams have an advantage on defense, but I think that just the team composition on this map should be a little bit different. The problem with the high ground of this map, well, it is good. Like the high ground is really good, but one problem is that you're surrounded on all sides.
That
You
is
have two
true.
very long. You have two extremely insanely long angles, like maximum range, 50 meters long angles that is looking at it. So that's Widowmaker, Hanzo, and anybody. But you also have some very short angles on the side where short range heroes can just come up and do their short range stuff to you as well. You have all these different ways to come. So I think that teams just need to be a little more adaptive, like figure it out a little bit more, be a little more adaptive with their team compositions. And I think that the defender advantage in this map will fade over time. Whether it fades enough to be like a 100% balanced competitive map, I'm not sure. But the defender advantage in this map will definitely become smaller as time goes on and teams learn the map a little bit more.
Agreed. Let's
Yeah,
jump
I would
into,
agree to that as well.
Yeah, let's jump into point number 2, the city center, which is probably like the highlight of this map, the jump pad map, and probably the one that we're getting a little more experimental with. What do you think
Yeah.
of this map? Let's start with the obvious. What do you think of the jump pad first of all?
The trampoline.
Yeah, the trampoline.
I think that the trampoline is like, again, the Oasis is full of these. The trampoline is the ultimate noob trap.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
The trap.
Yeah, it's a trap. I've seen teams blown up at the trampoline so many times, and the trampoline's good. Like that high ground is obviously strong, but
Oh yeah.
it's not. First of all, if a team is up on the high ground, you can't use a trampoline. You're just gonna get absolutely nuked because your head is just bouncing straight into their guns, essentially, if they're
And
shooting down at
you're
you.
mega predictable too while you're flying in the sky.
Mm.
Yeah, overall, the trampoline is like something that should be used very sparingly for certain heroes, like maybe a soldier or something like that. But overall, I see the high ground eventually being used more by heroes that don't need to use the trampoline, because the trampoline is so dangerous inherently. And also, you don't actually win the point by getting that high ground. The high ground is a purely supportive part of the map, because you can hide from the high ground and still be on the point.
Mhm.
So you can't just say, okay, we're going to put our, it's not like the previous map where you can just say, okay, our team's going to be on the high ground and we're just going to sit there forever, because the high ground doesn't actually help you towards the objective. So it just having one key player up there, like a Pharah, just kind of hang out there, or a Widowmaker, or Soldier McCree, is going to be kind of the use of that. And you're going to see the teams stop like just saying we need to get to the trampoline and blowing themselves up over it as time goes on.
I did notice that
No.
they put the trampoline off to one side, making it like, yeah, it's a cool feature, and it's definitely something they try out, and it's definitely something that could be abused by certain heroes that normally cannot get like that altitude or get high ground that fast. Like, you can think of like Roadhog or something like that. But as it turns out, because it is to the side, and like you were saying, it is kind of hidden away from the view of everyone else, and people can kind of avoid you if they're really wanting to. It makes it so that the only heroes that want to go up there can already go up there really easily. Like we're talking about like Hanzo or Genji, or even like, a Pharah that can really get up there real fast. And it's usually off to the sides of the map. But everyone else, like you said, is like really off the way. And it becomes really obvious when they're going to the teleport, especially if it's like the entire team. It's just really obvious and really easy to tell, like, hey, they're all going there. And it's a small choke. Like anyone can spam that choke really, really easily. And while you're flying to the ground, it happened a couple of times while I was playing, where people would very obviously walk to the trampoline, jump, and I would just be waiting with Soldier and just like really easily track him while they're flying in the sky, and just like bye bye.
Yeah, that high ground is definitely not. It's not this. Normally, the high ground is like you want to go for the high ground, you want to take it, and then you want to use it to leverage an advantage. In this case, it's more you want to take the point, and then you use the point to leverage the high ground. So it's like you already win the point, and then it's safe to take the high ground. It's definitely it's too dangerous to just like go straight to the high ground at the beginning of the round.
Yeah.
Now,
I wish they would have made it.
I
I'm
wanted
sorry,
to like
go ahead.
highlight. Sorry, the delay is really getting me on my end. I can't really chime in very well with the Japanese internet here. There's two things that I wanted to maybe like kind of launch into some discussion. One of them is like that back part of the point. So if you're coming in symmetrically, this could be the opposite end of the jump pad and the high ground, right? There's that little alley that is kind of like a semicircle that's kind of a wider and taller like archway hallway. And there's a health pack right outside with like almost like a bell curve to it. There's that full health pack, and then that's where the highway goes around the map. And that's like the kill highway, right? Yes. And I've seen some really silly highlights of people getting sleep darted on Hog and then like getting launched by a Pharah, knocked back into the highway, and they get the kill on the Hog, and it's really funny. But like, I'm just trying to think of how you can utilize that hallway to really cut down on a lot of your losses, because if you're kind of defending against the high ground, you're basically going to be on that side because you're using the central tower unit as either a point of high ground to stand on above the point, or you're going to be, protecting your flanks and the front of the point, right? Because this map is relatively open with no real clear single choke aside from where the enemies are coming in from their spawn, right?
Yeah, so the outside track in this map is actually pretty brutal for any backline characters or anything like that, because so this map is just a giant circle, and there's like 3 layers to the circle. Yeah. There's the inner circle and the outer circle and the circle outside that as well. So there's basically no way to stop people from getting around you. Like if they want to commit enough time, which is really not that much time, but if they want to commit a few additional seconds, they can get around you no matter what. So just actually all the Oasis maps in general are basically just giant arena maps. Like there's no set, this is my line of soldiers and this is your line of guys, and we all march up and we fight each other like all clean and fair, like in the 1700s or whatever. This is definitely like Modern Warfare, full on brawling, because as a support player, you really have to be extremely paranoid in all the Oasis maps because of all the different angles that people can come at you from. I definitely, at first, I was very surprised. Like, just there'd be soldiers coming from behind me, like roadhogs flanking me. It's just really crazy. So, I think that the key to Oasis, maybe not the last map, Garden, but at least this map and the remaining map, the key to Oasis is going to be rotation. There's not like in most maps, it's just you get a position and you kind of like use it. But in Oasis, there's going to be lots of rotating, lots of footsies. I think that it makes it a very interesting tactical map for teams that are very organized.
Yeah, it feels really, really dynamic. Like you said, there's not like a one choke that you can definitely be like, okay, we're holding this and we can just see all of the entrances where they're coming and be good. Like in this one, you kind of have to be on the call out and be like, okay, we got to rotate over here, move over here. Talking about rotating, let's rotate to the last map, University, which actually I was quite enjoying it last time. It's very hectic, but it made the playstyle like very, very quick. And the point what can be contested from like so many angles, both like high ground or like entrances. So it's like a hockey field almost, like the where you contest the point, like where all the books are there. But I don't know, it almost seems like a shooting gallery too for everyone else. I want to get your opinion on this map.
Yeah, so this is another arena style, brawl style map where it has like the inner circle and the outer circle and the circle beyond that, where anyone, not just a flanker, anybody can get to anywhere they want, and it's relatively safe. I think this is the most interesting of all the Oasis maps. I like this one by far the best because the other Oasis maps are all very stylistic and very pretty, but there are in the other two maps I feel like there's lots of space that's just kind of wasted, especially on Garden where that entire side is just
right.
Does nothing. But here on University, every single part of this map has a really cool and interesting function, and so it's very fun to play. On one side, well, as you approach, on one side you have the high ground. You have that little spiraling staircase to the high ground, and the high ground has its own strength of being the high ground. However, it's dangerous because you have lots of knockback mechanics that can push you off the ledge, plus the fact that you only have those two little windows to shoot through. And if you go to the other side, it's not high ground. However, that has the benefit of being very enclosed and very safe. That's a really good place to hide your supports, or in my case, for me to hide, right, in ranked. And so it's just a very safe place. It's one of the safest places on the map. You can really turtle in that place and not have too much bad stuff happen to you. It's like a little bunker. And then you have the middle, which is a very cool area for any hero with mobility to just work around. I've been playing some Genji lately, learning some Genji, and especially that has been very fun playing with the middle of the map. So I just like how every part of the map has a lot of meaning and a lot of interesting things you can do with it. And it just feels like a very well-rounded map.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you there. This map seemed like there was so much action going on all the time, and like heroes were just freaking everywhere, dude. It's like Hanzo's in every single corner. Well, I was just playing against a Hanzo that was really good, and he seemed like he could like duplicate and be in every single corner. But I think it was also like the layout of the map, because he was so easy for him to peruse everywhere. And there was so many spots for him to shoot at the point. There wasn't like one particular spot that you would always expect a Hanzo from, but more like, man, this guy can just pop from anywhere and contest the point, or at least challenge the point at this point. Same way with Roadhog. My God, his hook seems so good at this map, especially where you can basically throw it from one side of the point to the other, and it's about the range of the hook. So it's quite good for that. Very, very challenging in that sense, but super fun stuff. Let me ask you about composition. What do you think are good compositions that thrive on this map? Because I noticed that the triple tank kind of stuff actually kind of suffers a little bit in this map, since it has like so many alleyways and so many like movement stuff. I've noticed that maybe heroes that like Genji, for example, have a lot of playground over here.
It's actually something I really like about this map is that I think that certain maps in Overwatch really pigeonhole a particular playstyle, and they aren't very dynamic in that regard. But this map, I can definitely see different teams having completely different playstyles, just because, like I said, there's all these three different elements of the map that are all very strong, but they're all separate. So you can definitely run a triple tank comp and play in that. I call it like bunker area. I guess it's technically the theater, the auditorium, whatever. But you can play in that side area and just hide, and you can stay in very close range. You can still contest the point, and you're hidden. At the same time, you can play much more mobile, flowy sort of comp that utilizes the high ground, all those ins and outs and areas over there. You can definitely utilize the middle area a lot if you have those mobile heroes. And, even if you want to play a longer range comp, you can take longer angles. The high ground's a longer angle. Just from spawn, if you just approach from spawn into the main choke point, which is a thing as well, that's a longer angle. And so you can really play this game. This map really caters to whatever playstyle you want, because it has a section for each. It has the short range tanky section. It has the high groundy mobility section. It has the choky, just go in and do a lot of DPS section. So really, whatever you want to do in this map, I think you can make it work right now until someone finds, an optimization or something.
Because there was some really cool strats that I was seeing, and I couldn't pick one because your team, when you're running in the arcade and you're just trying to spam a bunch of Oasis games to try to learn the map, you get pretty much everything from Sombra Winston and a Reinhardt and a Junkrat. So it's what are we trying to do here? So I think I tend to prefer, especially for university, I tend to prefer dive comp. So that would be the comp that I like running would be Diva Winston with Mercy Lucio and Genji, and then kind of just flex whatever else you want. I really, really like that comp a lot, the 2-2-2 with dive, just because Winston feels so good on this map. And then the contrary side would be a setup one where you're running a Symmetra and a Junkrat for your DPS. And I really like Symmetra on pretty much all of these maps. And I'm sure you probably have some kind words for your friend Symmetra on these as well. She seems really powerful.
Yeah, Symmetra is quite strong because there's lots of little short angles you can take to get in very close very quickly. And there's some nice areas to put turrets in, and so Symmetra is definitely strong on all the Oasis maps because they're all very brawly, and Symmetra is a very good fighter.
All right, well, I don't want to belabor the point because I don't know how long these PTR changes are going to be taking us. So we're about 30 some odd minutes in. So let's jump in and talk about the PTR changes. So some of these are live, guys. Some of these are not. So just buckle up. Here we go. So let's talk about the most important change, which is voice lines, emotes, and the spray wheel.
The change we were all waiting for.
The best change. We get 4 sprays, 4 emotes, and 4 voice lines that you get a separate wheel for each. You can bind them even to special keys. So if you have that super expensive $300 keyboard, you can get all of those extra switches to BM to your heart's content.
I'm actually pretty happy about this. No, I'm not kidding. I'm sometimes really get into the game and I kind of like the role play a little bit, and if you get a cool kill and you have a voice line that is appropriate for the situation, I like laying it down right there and then. So this definitely plays to that ability.
I'll spray all the every top 500 spray from all the seasons all in spawn to show my superiority.
I was damn, man, this guy is serious. All right, we'll listen to him. He has 4 type 500 sprays.
I just gotta always be playing Mercy and have the option to kill somebody and say take 2 and call me in the morning. That's the best BM is killing somebody on Mercy and then saying that. So then I think this is actually my favorite change. It's not hero related. But is the kill feed change. This is I think one of the biggest steps for our Hearthstone, for Overwatch to have going into esports, because it helps casting, it helps information just for players, and it even I think it just helps give you a very efficient and high quality as well as just really quick way to kind of click through mentally what's going on in the game at a glance. So before, it was basically a white skull with some swords in them to show you so-and-so killed so-and-so. So soldier killed Diva, Diva killed soldier, etc. Now we have a red skull for headshots. And we have a white ability square icon to represent what other things are contributing to final blow. So this can be anything like a bio grenade kill on Ana, to a helix rocket, to a fire strike. And the ability icons are not limited to abilities, but can also signify an ultimate icon like Reaper's Death Blossom, or oh man, help me guys, like High Noon. So Deadeye. Zarya, yeah, exactly. So what do you think about this from your perspective, Skyline? I know that kill feed is one of the most ignored things at my tier, all the way up through platinum, and even some diamond people kind of ignore it. But I think at the top level, people are always paying attention to this kill feed.
I think it's cool. I think it definitely adds to kill feed. I don't like they changed like the font, and they changed the so I think it's weird. I can't actually imagine it. It's just like I know it's there, but it used to have like a white background, so it's very, very easy to read. But now they got rid of the background, the backdrop, and they changed the font a little bit, so it's actually harder to read now than in live, because I was playing a little bit PTR, and so that's, I mean, it's not like a tragic thing, but it would be nice if they were able to maintain the same level of legibility. As far as the ability icons, they're cool. The headshot thing, they're cool. It's definitely an upgrade. I just like them to put it more in line with the current one, because the current one is very clear to read. It's very, very obvious.
Yeah.
It's bright. It's very crisp, and the new one kind of loses that effect. So it's more difficult if you if you go check out the PTR. It like takes you a second to actually go up and read, because it's like because most of the maps are kind of dark, so you can get black on black text essentially.
Gotcha there.
Geez, that's
so
awful.
it's more of a matter of like the color of the layout than like the icons and stuff.
Yeah, they need to fix the layout a little bit on it. But
yeah,
other than
I
that,
feel you there.
Yeah, the icons are fine. They're just an objective upgrade.
I'm a big fan of this change. I think especially for casting or for an observer who is just maybe spectating, or like even for your own team and your own sake. Like sometimes it's like Overwatch is a game where transferring or translating information as fast as possible in like the least amount of words or like stuff or whatever possible is the best, right? Like that's why
Brain function.
why teams like that are like super effective at comms, where they're able to just say one or two words and able to transfer a mental image to everyone else of what they're trying to say, is super important. So this kind of acts into that regard, just being able to transfer information really, really fast, especially for somebody who's trying to view the game maybe and only has the perspective of one of the players, like for example a caster, or even for an analyst, right? I see like a lot of you, for example, that you do VOD reviews on your YouTube channel. You're maybe just spectating from like the angle of the Reinhardt, and some 3 people die and you really don't have visual of it, but because of the kill feed you're able to kind of see like kind of what happened and paint a mental picture of the right stuff. I'm a fan of it.
It'll be helpful for particularly. I don't think it's incredibly helpful in game, because usually you're either aware of it or it's like, all right, he died. I don't need to know that the Widow killed him with a Widow mine or something. I just need to know that he died. But for a caster or a spectator, it is helpful.
For sure.
I just like the ultimate use, I think, probably the most. Like just knowing if they burned an ultimate and you're not there, or someone's not calling it out and like everyone's silent on consoles, it tends to be a pretty big problem for them. So I like that change. But we have a lot of hero changes to discuss. So let's start with the hacker. So let's start with Sombra. Sombra has 2 changes. She has both changes with hack. So hack used to be 1 second as a cast time or wind up, however you want to word it, but now it's 0.8 seconds. So it's like 2.2 second change, really kind of minute. And then the other bigger change is that the cooldown is actually also lowered. This is the new one that hasn't rolled out just yet. This is down to 8 seconds, which is a 4-second reduction. And this seems really big to me. Andres, do you want to comment on this before we turn it to Skyline here?
I think this is a nice little change. I personally feel like the hack right now, it's too exclusive. Like you have to think too much about it. And I think that for the way that Sombra plays and her playstyle of going in and out, it's kind of sad that you sometimes have to choose between hey, do I want to hack this health pack and make a safe haven for me and my team over here, or do I want to save it for, going in and hacking somebody that's quite important? Because at this time, the cooldown is too long. If you hack a health pack and you go try to help out your team, that thing is still gonna be on cooldown pretty much for the rest of the fight, or until the very end, where it's not gonna be as impactful. So then you end up saving it, but then you can't do like the other good thing that you're good at, which is getting the map control thanks to the health packs and kind of like ruining that for the enemy team. So I think it's a nice quality of life change, being able to use the hack a little more often, or if you're ready to go into a fight, being able to hack a health pack, have that there for your team as a backup zone, or just guaranteeing that the enemy team cannot retreat to a key health pack and then still be able to use it in the battle. And the cast time, it's interesting too. Maybe I don't know how much 0.2 seconds is going to be. In this game, 0.2 seconds can actually make a difference. But sometimes it is kind of hard to get off if they notice that you're hacking them quick enough. Most of the time, they're able to just quickly shoot you or just melee you or something and cancel the cast time. So I'm a fan of these changes. What do you think, Sky?
Guy?
I think the cooldown is definitely really big, because before you could only do one or the other. You could either hack people or hack health packs. And usually you would have to, at when you played in super high elo, you'd have to hack the Reinhardt. So basically you just could never hack health packs. You never had time unless you had just a big opening. The cooldown was too high, I agree. And now the uptime is a lot more, so you can choose to do a lot more with it. And it wasn't strong enough of an ability, I think, to warrant its super mega ultra high cooldown, especially because it's so inconsistent as well. The 0.2 seconds is longer than you might think, because it's a lot more than a 20% buff. Think about it. If you consider the lag, the input response time, and human base reaction time, the fastest you're ever going to react to anything is at least, I don't know, I'll be generous and say 300 milliseconds between everything. There's no way you can react faster than that. So you really only have, let's say, half a second after all those things are considered to react to the hack. If you reduce it by 0.2 seconds, now that's way more than 20%. It's more like 40%. Because the full second is never, like, you can't possibly,
No, I see what you're saying, and I think you're right. Yeah, like 0.2 seconds can actually be the difference between somebody noticing you and be able to turn around, and you getting the hack off, and then they turning around. All right,
it's gonna turn a lot of misses into hits.
For sure. Let's move on to the Roadhog changes, which I am personally hyper excited about. I cannot wait for these changes to go live any sooner. But here it goes. Mainly big changes to the hook. So the way the hook targets people and the way the hook pulls people has kind of completely changed. They've been talking about revamping the hook for a big time. Hook 2.0, as they call it on BlizzCon. And I've been waiting for them to do it too. Finally, it's announced. And so far, it's looking quite good if you're not a Roadhog main, that's to say. So some of the changes, for example, are if for some reason you break line of sight after you have been hooked, whether you're behind the wall or whether, somehow you get dragged in behind a corner or something, the hook will let you go. So it will no longer drag you like from weird corners, or if Roadhog hooks you like above ground or something, it will probably let you go as long as he doesn't have a line of sight of you. And I was watching some people test this on the PTR with Lucio, especially behind walls, and it's quite hard to get somebody off a wall now from Roadhog, which I'm happy about. Also, the line of sight has changed a little bit in the way it gets checked. Now it gets checked from Roadhog's position instead of from the hook's position. So let's say if you're throwing this, as it is right now, if you throw this at somebody who's hiding behind a wall, or they're in high ground hiding behind the floor, and you throw the hook, and the hook barely touches you because line of sight is checked on the hook, it registers the hit and is able to grab you. Now, line of sight is checked from Roadhog's angle. So basically, he has to be able to see you when the hook is in your range for the hook to be able to connect. If he doesn't see you when the hook is in your range, you are usually safe. So huge change, and I think it's probably like the change that is making this the biggest difference. And the last change is Hook's targets are now slow heavily while they're stunned, even if they are in the air. I'm not like super clear on what this means. Maybe you guys can clear up for me a little bit. What do you think of all these changes, Sky?
I think they're basically bug fixes. I don't think I think this had to happen for the sake of being able to make Roadhog a healthy character. So a big issue before is because it's favor the shooter in this game, you really are shooting people about 200 milliseconds, depending on ping and stuff, in the past. You're like a time traveler. And so with most things, it doesn't matter. Eventually, at this point, players have gotten used to it. They kind of are used to living 200 milliseconds in the past, people shooting them. With Roadhog's hook, though, first of all, it has a very strange hitbox. And second of all, you have the favor the shooter thing happening. And so you had a lot of people getting hooked behind walls, these crazy, insane hooks off, like especially because it's so tall. So he would hook you through like tons of stuff, and it just felt terrible. And it felt particularly bad for him because basically if you get hooked, you're dead. It's not like a McCree shooting you around a wall one time or anything like that. And so it was just broken. It was just silly. It didn't feel like, in Dota, you have Pudge, you have Blitzcrank in League, like those hooks are okay because at least they feel consistent, they feel fair. But in this game, Roadhog is just silly. His hook didn't make any sense. It was very frustrating.
Yeah, there are too many situations where it just felt bad to get hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. So this change, it might be nerf. I view it as basically a bug fix. It's like fixing the game, but it is also nerf, of course. So if it does over nerf Roadhog, that's fine, because it's opening it up so that he can get real buffs. Before you couldn't actually do anything to Roadhog because he has that borked, like that crazy hook that's dimension grabbing. There's nothing. You can't buff him. You can't buff him anyway. Now it's like, okay, his hook is reasonable, and now with this newest change, they actually tweaked it even more. So now it's even more reasonable, and it feels really good and fair. Like if you hit someone, you hit them. Like it feels very fair on both players' screens. So
that's the big one, right?
Well, yeah. Now that you don't have them, so a problem before is people would jump and you'd get hooked, and it would be a fair hook, but then they would like continue. The momentum would continue around the wall, and it would snap. Yeah. So that felt bad. They fixed that. So now it's just good. Now if Roadhog's over nerfed, then they can do interesting, like actually real balance changes to him instead of having to actually just fix his broken kit.
No, I totally agree. Yep. And Roadhog right now is in a very weird spot, like meta wise, or at least role wise. Like he is supposed to be a tank, but right now, I don't know if people are necessarily playing him as a tank. Like it's not necessarily like the guy that advances your front line, even though like he is played like right there on the front line, but it's more of like you're relying constantly on him to get picks with the hook. So it's almost playing like this big clunky DPS that just kind of like relies on getting the
fight
kills.
5v6.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not a DPS because he doesn't do really any DPS. His damage is very low. He's more like an initiator. He just he gets the hook off, he initiates the fight, he makes it into a 5v6. So yeah, he's not a tank. He's just like he's an initiator. That's what his role is. He starts fights. Like
that's
it's
a
similar
good way to put it. An initiator
similar
is
to
a good word.
Dota, Blitzcrank, and League. Exact same concept.
Yeah.
The initiator. Yep.
Cool. Do you have anything else you want to add about Roadhog? Yeah, we can move on.
We can move on. It's fine. Roadhog's test is basically just like the revision of Roadhog as a whole, like so that Blizzard can do something with him, and we can stop getting hooked and killed. So, all right. So we have Diva. Diva has got some fairly simple to explain changes, but the reasoning behind them, or maybe the effect of them, may kind of shift the meta here. So basically, So far, Blizzard's decided to flip the armor and health values from 400 armor, 200 health to 400 health and 200 armor, which is actually a very sizable change. And then they basically did a net damage recalculation on the fusion cannons. So it basically is an overall 8.3 damage or 8.3% reduction in overall damage. But the reduction has added more total pellets to D.Va's kit in like from 8 to 11 and then lowered the each pellet damage so that you wouldn't get like these insane like low pellet counts at 3 damage, getting headshots going up to 6 and just like bursting people really fast. So like if you do the math, it's a little bit janky and like, oh, it's an 8.3% damage nerf to D.Va, and then they flipped her health, so they make her squishier and weaker. That seems kind of odd. Well, it's more for like they said the change for the damage was more for consistency, and I know Sky has a good kind of like reasoning for this, but the health is the big thing that people are concerned about. They were even toying around with the community saying that they want to see maybe and try and test out the 300 and 300 change to like 300 HP, 300 armor. Maybe that would be more balanced, because right now it seems like other heroes like Symmetra and Reaper are just like ripping into you as D.Va a little bit faster than maybe you should.
That's interesting. I don't know. D.Va
Sky,
is a weird hero. Let's get your take on it, and then I'll talk a little bit about it.
Well, as far as the cannons go, it is a minor damage buff, which is fine. She was doing a lot of damage before. I don't think that's necessarily the worst, but like you said, it's not really. Blizzard themselves actually said it's not meant for the damage, for the consistency, and that's something that it would happen. I'm sure people maybe not have like actually realized what's happening, but especially from those mid ranges, like the not quite short ranges, like the short mid range, you just randomly have D.Va do like 1 billion damage to you, and you wouldn't understand why. Like she would just kill you from a range that she's not supposed to kill you at. It's because her spread didn't have enough pellets, so every once in a while they would just like happen to line up on your head, and there's nothing you could do about it. You just die. And so that's like an RNG thing. And sometimes it would work against her. None of the pellets would hit, even though she was within a reasonable range, and she would do like way less damage. So that was good for consistency. Really cuts back on the randomness of how of D.Va. Right. As far as the armor, I'm pretty surprised to see everyone like have such a strong opinion about it already. Like they know. I mean, for me, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how this is gonna work, because basically, it's only a nerf against certain matchups, right? The 200 armor nerf. So it's only a nerf against people like Tracer. Soldier is gonna be the one that actually matters, but Soldier, Reaper, like I guess Symmetra, not as much though. Symmetra burns armor pretty well, but pretty much like Reaper and Tracer and Soldier are the big ones. As most other damage, armor isn't really that strong against, or most other like, or I guess another D.Va, right? Most or Roadhog also, Roadhog's hook. So there really are a limited number of matchups where armor is actually strong against. So the problem with having 400 armor before is you just instantly delete those heroes from the entire game. Like there's not like you can't do anything about it. Whereas now she basically lost 200 essential hit points against those heroes. So like if you play against Tracer, you basically have 200 less health than you had before, because you have 200 less armor, cut it by half. And even then, so also with D.Va is she has a really big head hitbox, right? And head shots do more damage, so they penetrate armor more than usual as a percentage wise. So anyway, you have all these things to consider, and basically, like the armor nerf is, I mean, a lot of things aren't really mitigated that heavily by armor. Even Reaper, if he gets headshots, it's not a 50% reduction. It's less. It's more like a 30% reduction. So how much EHP did she lose? Like 150. It was not it definitely is still more than she had post her health buff. So yeah, I'm not sure. It's really gonna come down to, do people want to pick Reaper? Do people want to pick Tracer? Because if they don't, then she's gonna be the same hero, because it only matters against those matchups. So like I said, I'm surprised that everyone is very confident in their predictions that she's going to be dead. it really matters what teams want to pick. Sure, if people start picking like 5 Reapers and 20 Tracers and like 30 Soldiers, well, they're probably gonna be picking a lot of Soldiers, definitely. Then D.Va will have been nerfed, but it just depends on how the meta shifts, what people play.
Yeah, it's definitely an
Yeah,
interesting
because
change.
D.Va has the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Andres, do you want to comment on like that part of it?
Sure. I think that, like you said, like, I mean, if it's gamers, you know, they're gonna be very opinionated, no matter if it's like the smallest change. It can be like, guys, we are changing Tracer's shoes from red to yellow, and people will flip tables, dude. But I think that these changes are quite nice. D.Va is just a character that is really good at doing almost everything right now. Like, the only thing she can't do literally in this game is probably heal. And even then, you could consider her Matrix as like some sort of like healing mechanic and stuff. But it's just, she's so strong. She has a lot of health. She can mitigate or just erase a lot of damage. And heroes that tend to focus her down a lot, like for example, a Soldier. I play a lot of Soldier, and it's so frustrating when D.Va gets super aggressive. She goes into the middle of your front line or even like flies to your back line, and you literally are focusing 100%. And the only thing she needs is an Ana behind her, just spamming heals, and you will literally never kill her. Add to that maybe a Zenyatta that puts the orb on her, and it's just impossible to kill, and she'll just be in like the most aggressive situations, like where any other hero would immediately die, and you just cannot get rid of her even though you're focusing her down. It's just too much health. I think that, like you said, this change is gonna be really nice for people who play a lot of Soldier, for example, to just burn her down as quick as possible once she gets a little too out of line. So I think that the change overall is just gonna make her have to play slightly less aggressively, and hopefully the tone of damage a little bit is gonna give a lot more breathing room for guys like McCree, for example. Like, playing McCree against the D.Va can be so oppressive sometimes, because one, she's eating all of your shots because you're shooting like slow enough, so it's frustrating to focus her down, for starters. But then if she gets on your face and you don't have support of anyone else, like if your Roadhog is not there with you, or your Zarya, or you don't have a healer that has an eye on you right away, McCree has a super hard time against D.Va because you cannot burn her down at all. And because you have no self-healing or no sprint like Soldier, it's really hard for you to get away with her. And it's really easy for her to chase you down and kind of like bully you that way. So I don't know. I welcome this change. Hopefully it'll give a little more breathing room to some of the backline and make D.Va players have to play her a little bit less aggressively. Because right now, like, D.Va players do whatever they want on the battlefield. They're like, I can go anywhere and probably be okay.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to do the math on it, because originally, if you consider a hero that does 10 or less damage per shot, which is really not many, only shotguns, really, non-headshots, she goes from 1,000 essential HP, because 400 armor gets doubled to 800, and then she had 200 health. So she goes from 1,000, and this is the perfect, perfect case scenario. Worst for her, she loses 200 health, so she goes from 1,000 to 800, which is 20% reduction, which is, you know, you can say that's pretty big. But reality, there's going to be headshots involved. Headshots do more damage. They'll do up to 20 damage, which is only 25% reduction because it drops off to 5. So you're going from like 1,000 EHP, if you do the math, to about 900, which is only about a 10% reduction. So like, imagine D.Va right now, and then you kill her 10% faster. That's, I think that people are being a little I think they're over exaggerating it a little bit. And like I said, this is such a complicated change. Like with the Sombra change, it's like, oh, well, yeah, that's pretty obvious. That's good. With the Roadhog changes, like, that's pretty obvious. That's gonna make him weaker. With the D.Va change, it's like, yeah, we increase the pellets, but we decrease the damage, but we increase the health, but we decrease the armor, and math. And people are like, oh yeah, easy. I know what that's gonna do. That's like 100% gonna be this. And so I was a little bit surprised at that.
We'll still have to wait out to see how
was
this
appalled
change
at how fast
plays out, for sure. But I don't know. I think it'll, like you said, it's a more complicated change. We'll see how it goes on, but that's my hope into what this change is gonna do. But we are kind of running a little short on time, so let's move on to what I think it's probably gonna be the biggest change for this meta right now. To one of the heroes that is kind of defining the triple tank meta, Ana, as much as it is right now. Her biotic grenade is going down to a 50% bonus healing, down from 100. So the burst heals are gonna be severely toned down, and also the duration is gonna be toned down to 4 seconds, down from 5. So if you're a Reinhardt main, rejoice, because this change is for you, buddy. What do you think of this change, guy?
I'm scared.
I think that the healing reduction is whatever. It's okay. Personally, I think that if that went live, it would take me a little while to notice it. It usually results in about one more shot. Like to fully heal a tank or something, it's like one more shot, it's one more shot. As far as the reduction in duration, I think that's definitely necessary. 1 second seems pretty fair to start with, because before it was just way too long. Obviously, you get anti-healed, and you just have to like go all the way back to spawn by the time it actually wore off, right? It would just be there forever. So I think that both these changes are good. They're in the right line, and they're definitely not going to kill the hero. She's still very strong, but they're just trimming the fat, trimming the fat. Basically.
No, I agree. And
Yeah.
one thing to note about all these changes, maybe except for Roadhog Hook, because that one is pretty radical, but every other change I think is very subtle, and they're not trying to. I feel like at this point they like where most heroes are on the metagame and their power level, and they're not really trying to wildly kind of like change them around. But like you said, it's just trimming the fat. It's just kind of like polishing the edges right here. Like these heroes maybe have a little too much here, so they just tone it down a little bit. But I don't think they want to do like a huge meta change like we had on the latest biggest patch, right, where like pretty much everything changed.
Well, it took them a little while to realize that. I mean, I've always been strongly against their kind of the balancing they've been doing, where it's like, oh, let's buff Zen, let's give him 50 health and buff Transcendence in 2 different ways and put his damage down, and then do this and like do all these changes all at once.
Zenyatta.
You know, or like let's buff Diva. We're gonna increase her ult charge. We're gonna give her more damage. We're gonna give her more health. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. And so I think that finally, maybe the studios realized, well, let's be a little bit. These changes are probably more weighty than we think they are. Let's tone them down a little bit. And I'm always
so
a big
funny
proponent.
to see them go back and forth on that.
I'm always a big proponent of doing one thing at a time, because I hate the buff nerf thing in one patch, because if you like buff 3 things and then nerf 2 things and then the hero turns out overpowered, what was it? You have nowhere to start. If you buff like one thing and the hero's overpowered, then you can just say, oh, well, that's easy. I just bring it down by half. Now the hero is good. So as long as keeping the parameters very simple and just doing one thing at a time, or in Sombra's case, it's just one ability at a time that you're buffing. It's very easy if you overtuned it or if you undertuned it to know, oh, well, I know where to go from here. It's the giant like buff 3 things, nerf 3 things that gets you into big issues.
They're basically eliminating variables at that point. They're just isolating the changes by saying, okay, is this the problem or is this not the problem? Because if they change something 2 or 3 times and nothing changes, they're like, okay, well, this isn't the issue here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's basically it. Andres, do we have anything else we want to ask Sky before we jump into just some little announcements?
No, I think this covers all of the changes pretty well on the PTR and stuff. Like you said, like some of these haven't gone live even on the PTR, so we still gotta wait and see how they come out into the actual client. Most of the changes that have gone on the PTR actually make it to the client live in some form or another. So I'm pretty certain that these are gonna hit Overwatch at some point or another, maybe a little more toned. So there's no point in going too much deeper into them until they're live.
Right. And like we saw today, we even saw some additional changes that we were just discussed, like the Ana duration on the grenade, the hack cooldown reduction, and even some more minor tweaks to the hook. Like all of those are rolled out, or not even rolled out on PTR just yet. Those are just announcements. So we may even see more changes within the coming weeks.
Hang on tight, because the waters are moving. Things are changing slightly, though. Not too hard.
Not too much. That's right. All right, so let's do a brief announcement. We got we've been working and cooking up some stuff for you guys on consoles. I know that we've already had a console update video from CS as a bonus show for y'all, and we actually just added a brand new Xbox mod. His name is Abnerd on our Discord, and we also have CS in the PlayStation community. Well, they have teamed up together, and we are now doing a consoles 1v1 fun tournament. Okay, and there are prizes, so listen up. Basically, on January 29th at high noon PST for you McCree mains and 3 p.m. Eastern time, they're going to do the 1v1 tournament. So if you're on PS4, you'll want to go and sign up before the 27th by contacting our admin CS for PS4 and Abnerd for Xbox One. You can find them at our Discord. Abnerd is under the mod column. CS is under the admin column. And the rules are very simple. It's basically there's a first place prize of $15 to PSN Xbox Store and $5 for second place. And there has to be 16 participants. So if we get 16 people show up for that one console, then boom, you can play. And this means that there are 2 simultaneous tournaments. If there isn't enough, or if there's too many and you guys want to shift, you guys can do 3v3s, or you can do just a fun game night and play 1v1s just for fun. But the way it works, you got to have the 16 participants for signups. Now, the game will have a round of 16 and then a quarterfinals. Both will be a best 2 out of 3 with single elim, and then once you get to the semis and the finals, that will be best 3 out of 5 with double elim to make it even more fair. Okay, so if you guys want any more details about that, we don't belabor the point. You can go hang out to our Discord, head over to discord.me/OmnicLab in your browser for you guys to find it, or you can tweet at us. I've been sending links to like 4 or 5 people that have asked this week. So keep them coming. Just join the Discord, hook up with those guys in the channels, or DM them.
There you go, guys. If you were looking for an occasion to show your console chops and see how you fare out against other players from Discord, this is your chance. Save the date, January 29th. It should be really fun.
And then our last thing to wrap up the show before we let you know where you can find all of our stuff, we have some iTunes reviews from Purple Snake in Canada, All Black 2011 in Australia, and Johnny Destructive from USA. They're basically, I've kind of like consolidated it down to they're enjoying the console content and they want more interviews. Well, we got Skyline in this week, so
surprise,
hopefully you'll be happy this time.
Way ahead of you.
Yeah.
Last
Boy,
thing
were we surprised. This is a great interview.
Yeah, that's right. The last thing we want to do is we have a little question that was submitted by Ricardo. Rick, one of our patrons, submitted this little video question. I'm going to run it through, and then we can all answer it together.
Hey guys, hey Omnic Lab.
Make sure you guys can hear it. All right, you guys should be able to hear this.
Hey guys.
Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. I'm gonna run it.
Hey guys, hey Omnic Lab. This is Ricky from Texas. I've been enjoying your podcast. Decided to become a Patreon supporter. You guys been doing a great job. Enjoy the show. My thing to look forward to in 2017 for Overwatch is, do you think we'll have more rewards for those competitive points? Like say more exclusive skins or maybe emotes other than weapon skins. I think it's something that maybe Blizzard needs to take into consideration regarding for hardcore players that are very serious on those competitive points. Thanks. You great. Do a great job, guys. Love you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Rick. That's some kind words, and definitely something I've thought about before. Like eventually everyone, like if they don't update it, everyone's going to have golden guns and they're just not going to be special anymore. Have you guys given it some thought of like maybe what the next step would be? Would you guys like another gun or maybe like some golden shoes, or like Reinhardt gets like a golden shield, or I don't know, like you name it, golden anything, or maybe it doesn't have to be golden.
Golden
Maybe
Tracer
it's like
shoes.
like platinum or something.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I do recall that I saw a Blizzard post on the forum, decent like maybe a few months ago, that said they're definitely 100% planning to have more competitive point rewards. That was part of the reason why they added a 0 onto it. Remember, it used to be 300, and now it's like 3,000.
Right.
Was so that they could make finer, like you could pay, you could
stuff.
Yeah, you could pay in finer increments. And so I think that, I mean, I don't really have any ideas. I guess it'd be nice for full on like skins. Obviously, would be really nice, like a not a golden
Elite
skin, but you
skin.
know, like a challenger skin or something like that.
Full golden skin.
Yeah, right.
I would be fine with that. You're talking about like in
Ah,
Heroes
the
of the
skin.
Storm, where they have like the master skins, right? Like you can like buy a master
Yeah,
skin for character.
yeah,
It just makes it look
exactly.
like more badass than it is.
Yeah. So I think anything would be cool. I think I'm maxed out or something. I don't know. I have a lot. I can never decide. So that's always rough.
You're
At the end of every
maxed
season,
out
I'm
of
like,
competitive points, dude.
You're such a 1%.
Dude,
You're such a 1%.
Share some. I'm lacking over here.
I buy them on the PTR, and then I'm like, I don't know if it's good enough to buy online. So.
Just buy them on heroes that you have to practice. That would be my philosophy of it.
You'll be having a hard time like committing to your points. Like you just buy them to the PTR to see them like shiny and stuff, and you're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's always a better. What if I want the Doomfist one?
Oh, nice.
I want that
that's
golden
true.
fist.
Hey, that should be coming up soon. Supposedly, Terry Crews
really
might be
hope so.
voicing that. That should be fun.
As the
Hopefully.
scuttlebutt as it is.
All
Hopefully,
right,
yeah,
well,
so
that kind of
It
wraps
leaves a
it
little
up for
bit
me
smoother
over
and
here.
sound.
Right. Do you have anything
Okay,
else you
so
want to add, Rob?
let's. No, I think that's it. The show's going long. I know some of you guys that are excited about the show's going long are rejoicing at this moment. You're like, oh my gosh, I said that I wanted longer shows, and they gave me 10 more minutes. It's kind of like you're asking mom to play Overwatch for another 10 minutes. Mom, it's only late, or whatever. This is like adult problems, as the podcasts aren't long enough. So, all right. So let's just we're gonna just pimp out the show, but we don't want to belabor the point too much. You guys can find us at pretty much anything, just Google searching Omnic Lab. But this week we're gonna try something different, because Skyline said he found some really cool research on limiting your options, so we can kind of help you out on the end of the show. So the end card, as it were, is basically we're going to promote the Discord. So the Discord is discord.me/OmnicLab. It's a great community, flourishing. People are always grouping up, and they basically just want to facilitate discussions and LFG. We got a brand new music bot. If you're just going to go sit and chat and hang out and then listen to music with some goofy friends and troll them with Rickroll in the playlist, like, I don't really care. You guys can do what you want with the music bot.
That
It's
music
a lot of
bot is
fun.
actually really fun. Yeah, I recommend, if you haven't tried it out, to go into the Discord and join the music channel. You can type in whatever song you want and it'll play it.
It's really neat. Yeah. So special thanks to our admin and Mons that have contributed to setting it up and kind of trimming a little bit of the fat down. We've kind of consolidated some of our LFG channels and increased the amount of voice channels for you guys to go and hopefully get out of the text dross of lurking and jump into a voice channel and just try to hang out and find somebody to group with. So yeah, you guys can go check that out there. And our Patreon, as we announced at the top of the show, you guys can go check that out. Basically, just look up whatever you want with the tag Omnic Lab and you can find it. The only difference is the email. So the email is Omnic Lab Podcast. If you have questions, send it to the show. Check it out. You can find me over at twitter.com/notrob and plays.tv/u/notrob, at least until my new computer arrives, which is still scheduled for Tuesday. So hopefully I will get it. And then after the next show, I will be on a brand new machine and playing Overwatch and losing in style. So if you guys are interested in that, you can go check out my VODs and help coach me through my, I guess it's basically just like gold journey to plat right now. And then if you guys like Hearthstone, I'm over at valinschosen.com. We talk about budget versions of strategy decks. Andres, where can people find you?
To personally find me, you can always go on Twitter. You can find me at iPlayGames. You spell that IPLAI Games. Keep updated with all the stuff that I do, new projects, when the episodes are coming out, new VOD reviews, any stuff that I've been doing, I usually post over there. So keep in touch. And you can also find me streaming on this very same channel, twitch.tv/Omnic Lab. If you want to catch me doing some team practices or sometimes just bashing my head against the ladder, you can find me here. How about you, Sky? Where can people find you?
Well, I actually beat the car now. You know, the car, the Nissan Skyline. I beat it on YouTube. So if you just go on YouTube and search
Nice.
Skyline, I come up right above all the cars.
Very nice.
It's very cool. But yeah, that's the best place to get me. Skyline YouTube. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Skyline_OW.
Definitely check his YouTube out. He has some great content, some super educational stuff. If you're trying to learn the game of Overwatch, you wouldn't find a better channel over there. So go check it out.
Thank you guys for joining us on episode number 36. We hope you enjoyed having Skyline in your earbuds for yet another week. Sky, thanks so much for joining us, man. It means a lot to us and our listeners. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for having me.
Catch you later, guys.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Adios. Remember, don't be a lab rat, be a scientist. We'll catch you in the next one. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, there's a like button. You can hit it
Thanks
if
for
you
the
want.
people who came in and catch the show live. You guys are super awesome, as always.
I have nothing more
I need to do something
The rest
about this
you
freaking
must
delay.
learn for yourself.